Why does your 30s sometimes feel like you're standing on solid ground one minute and sinking the next? You get a raise, your career finally feels stable, and for a brief moment you think, okay, I'm becoming a real adult. Then a week later you open your banking app and wonder how it's possible to earn more than ever and still feel broke. Maybe the money vanished into childcare that costs as much as rent used to. Maybe it went toward another destination wedding invitation that arrived right after you paid for a new set of tires. Or maybe it disappeared into 1,000 small upgrades that seemed harmless at the time. If you're in your 30s and feel like you're running hard just to stay in place while everyone else appears to be sprinting ahead, take a breath. This isn't a personal failure, it's a pattern. And understanding it changes everything about how you approach building wealth during what is easily the most chaotic decade of your life. Your 30s are not the decade of effortless financial clarity. They're the in-between years, the transition zone, the period where expectations skyrocket at the exact same time your responsibilities multiply. Career pressure intensifies because you're supposed to be moving up. Family pressure grows because people around you are having children, supporting parents, or both. Social pressure creeps in because your peers are posting house keys, renovated kitchens, and perfectly filtered vacations while you're reheating leftovers for the third night in a row. No one really warns you that this tension is normal. This decade feels financially unstable not because you're incompetent, but because you're carrying more at once than you ever have before. The people who eventually become financially secure didn't skip this stage. They simply learned how to build in the middle of it instead of waiting for calm that never fully arrives. Look at the math of your life right now. You're probably earning more than you did at 25. That part feels like progress. But your expenses have evolved too. Housing costs climbed, insurance increased. Maybe student loans are still lingering. If you have kids, you've discovered that tiny humans somehow generate adult-sized bills. If you don't have kids, you might be saving for a wedding, a home down payment, or both, goals that can feel impossibly large. Meanwhile, comparison is quietly distorting your perspective. That old friend who just bought a house? You don't see their debt. The coworker traveling overseas twice a year? You don't see their credit card balances. Social media rarely shows the full balance sheet, only the highlight reel. Here's the uncomfortable but freeing truth. Most people in their 30s are not as financially ahead as they appear. Many are juggling debt, modest savings, and uncertainty, just like you. The gap between perception and reality is enormous. Feeling behind is often a comparison problem, not a math problem. Wealth building isn't a synchronized race. People start from different financial baselines, different family situations, different opportunities. Some inherit help, some don't. Some prioritize stability early. Others chase experiences first. There is no single timeline you are meant to hit. And here's the part that matters most. Time is still incredibly powerful in your favor. Even if you feel late, even if you wish you'd started investing at 22, even if you made mistakes in your 20s, imagine you're 30 and you've managed to build $100,000 in savings and investments. That number might not feel impressive in a world obsessed with millionaire before 30 headlines, but left alone, growing at a reasonable long-term return, that money can double over the next decade without you adding another dollar. Now, realistically, you won't stop contributing. If you consistently add a few $100s a month, what feels slow today compounds into something substantial faster than you expect. The real power isn't dramatic short-term gains, it's sustained consistency. In your early 30s, each invested dollar can multiply many times over before retirement. Even in your late 30s, the multiplier is still meaningful. Starting now is dramatically more powerful than starting 10 years from now. But this only works if you accept one crucial truth. Your financial journey will not move in a straight line. Life will interrupt your plans. Jobs change, health issues happen, family needs arise, emergencies appear without warning. There will be seasons when you pause contributions or dip into savings. That doesn't erase progress, it reflects reality. Financial success over decades belongs to people who continue after interruptions, not people who never experience them. This is why an emergency fund is more than a boring recommendation. It's psychological protection. 3 to 6 months of expenses sitting in cash may feel unproductive, but that cushion prevents panic decisions. It prevents high-interest debt spirals. It gives you space to breathe when something breaks, because something always does. Cash on hand is quiet power. When others scramble for credit, you pay and move forward. When opportunities arise, you can act without desperation. As your responsibilities grow, so should your safety margin. The exact number depends on your situation, but the principle stays the same: stability first, growth second. Now let's address a common trap. Somewhere in your 30s, investing starts to feel like something you should be advanced at. You've read articles, listened to podcasts, you know terms like crypto, options, individual stock picking, and suddenly simple strategies feel too basic. But complexity is not sophistication, it's often distraction. For most people balancing careers, relationships, and maybe children, simple investing wins. Low-cost index funds, target date funds, automated contributions, boring systems that run in the background while you focus on your life. The goal is participation, not prediction. The market's long-term growth works best when you stay consistent, not when you attempt to outsmart it. Perfection delays progress. Waiting for the perfect investment often means sitting in cash doing nothing. Another overlooked step: organization. If you've changed jobs a few times, you might have retirement accounts scattered across former employers. Different platforms, different fees, different allocations. Consolidating those accounts can simplify your financial life dramatically. One clear dashboard, fewer fees, easier rebalancing, less mental clutter. Simplicity reduces friction. Reduced friction increases consistency. Now let's talk about income, because in your 30s it often rises. Promotions happen, career shifts lead to raises, salaries increase. And here's where many people unknowingly sabotage their future. As income climbs, spending quietly climbs with it. A nicer apartment, a newer car, more frequent dining out, subscription creep. Lifestyle inflation absorbs raises almost invisibly. You end up earning significantly more than you did 5 years ago, yet your bank balance feels identical. The people who build wealth during this decade do something different. When income increases, they capture a portion of it before lifestyle expands. Maybe not all of it, but enough to matter. If you receive a $15,000 raise and redirect even half of that toward investments instead of expenses, the long-term impact is profound. Over time, those captured raises compound into real financial leverage. Earning more is powerful. Keeping your cost of living relatively stable while earnings rise is transformative. But here's the nuance that often gets lost in financial conversations. Money is a tool, not a scoreboard. Your 30s are often filled with defining moments: career growth, partnerships, parenthood, travel, deep friendships. These years matter beyond spreadsheets. Building wealth should enhance your life, not consume it. Spend intentionally on what genuinely adds value to you. Cut aggressively on what doesn't. If annual travel with family creates lasting memories, prioritize it. If you don't care about luxury cars, don't finance one to impress strangers. Align spending with your actual values, not external expectations. There is no single correct financial path. Some people buy homes early and build equity slowly. Others rent and invest heavily. Some eliminate debt aggressively. Others balance investing alongside minimum payments. Different strategies can all lead toward financial security when executed consistently. The common thread among those who succeed isn't flawless execution, it's steady behavior. They automate contributions, they invest regularly, they avoid catastrophic mistakes, they accept imperfect years, they keep going. And, perhaps most importantly, they understand that feeling overwhelmed doesn't mean they're off track. Many people who later become financially secure remember their 30s as uncertain, stressful, and messy. They didn't feel ahead, they felt behind, while quietly making small, disciplined decisions that compounded over decades. Compound growth doesn't look impressive in the beginning. For years, progress appears incremental. Your contributions do most of the work early on. Then, gradually, growth accelerates. At some point, returns begin to rival and eventually exceed what you're adding yourself. That acceleration is invisible at first, but it's building. The foundation you lay in this decade may not feel dramatic. Foundations rarely do. They're buried, unseen, quiet. But without them, nothing substantial stands later. So here's the honest truth about building wealth in your 30s. It's rarely elegant. It won't look like a viral success story. It will include setbacks, doubt, and comparison. But if you stay consistent, keep your strategy simple, protect yourself with margin, and resist lifestyle inflation, time will do far more for you than you realize. 20 years from now, you won't remember the anxiety of wondering whether you were behind. You'll see the steady decisions that shaped your future. Your future self doesn't need perfection from you right now. It needs persistence.